Well, I am all over YouTube today. Hello. Hello there, welcome. If you are a subscriber on the Onyx Path channel and my personal YouTube channel, you will have just seen me finish a video there just to come over here. It's been a little while since we last did an Onyx Path news, so here we are with me sporting my best Uncle Fester look. And I am here to tell you a little bit about some of our recent releases, some of our recent campaigns, and so on. Now, if this was a well-produced video, we would then have some kind of musical interlude, some kind of lots of products moving past, and finish with an Onyx Path in the middle of the screen. One day we'll do that. But until then, you'll have to make do with my kind of improv. So, first things first, we've got Mage the Ascension, 20th Anniversary Edition, Victorian Age, or M20 Victorian Age, or Victorian Mage, if you prefer. That is currently on Indiegogo. We gave Indiegogo a try instead of Kickstarter, just to see what it was like, really. It's always good to keep our options open. And so far, response has been pretty good. You know, some people have been very apprehensive over using a different campaign method, especially when it takes your pledge at the start, as in when you pledge rather than at the very end. But other people have just dove straight on, have really been enjoying the manuscript, and what I have to say is the response to the manuscript has been so pleasing. I don't mind admitting that the developers, Chris Allen and Ian A.A. Watson, were a little apprehensive themselves regarding the manuscript for Victorian Age, not because it's bad, but because it deals with some very complex subject matter, a very controversial historical period. Empire wasn't all gold and gleaming, especially for the people who were being empired. But Victorian Age is being very well received. People love the art that is on display on the Indiegogo, which is linked below, and the writers all just did a sterling job. So do give it your backing if you're at all interested, and just remember that you can back for the PDF only, and then later on when it gets into BackKit, if you really want, you can up your pledge and go for a physical copy. Just because it takes your money immediately as opposed to at the end of the Kickstarter doesn't mean you can't back. What I suggest is back early, and then later on, when you have a better idea of your finances, you can adjust things. Another thing that often gets raised is things like postage, and this is worth covering on the Onyx Path news because we don't talk about it often. But a lot of our customers will look at our Kickstarters and say, I'd love to back, but postage for anywhere outside of the US is really harsh. And it is. There's no getting around that. That's not a Onyx Path mandate. That's just the nature of shipping costs right now. Unfortunately, we're not Amazon. We can't eat the cost. And that means if you happen to live somewhere that isn't in the US, costs for postage do go up. But there are ways around it. And the ways around it are, namely, one, you can back it in PDF form and buy a print-on-demand copy later. Two, you can back with friends. So if you know multiple people, even if it's just 2 or 3 who are interested in backing for Mage as well, and you can ask this in Facebook groups, ask on Discord or whatever. If they live in a similar area to you, that helps, because what you can do is just back for 1 copy and then up your backing for, let's say, 4 copies, and the postage will hardly shift. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. The postage is covering the shipping as opposed to each individual book. Therefore, if I was to ship 4 books in 1 package, it would cost a little bit more than 1, but it wouldn't cost as much as 4 individual ones. So that cuts shipping costs down. And alternatively, buy through your local game store. We put a lot of our books in local game stores now. Sometimes you have to order them for them to appear in their game stores, but it's worth doing because it creates traffic through those game stores, helps get our games known, and of course helps those game stores stand up in a time that's been very much punishing for them given lockdown and how that's impacted a lot of tabletop games, especially board games. So, M20 Victorian Age, I'm really proud of the team on that. I'm really proud of the product, and I do hope you check it out if you haven't already. Next up is Adventure with an exclamation mark. You know I love a game with an exclamation mark at the end, and or exclamation point if I were American. And Adventure is our next Kickstarter. This one will be on Kickstarter. This is the next in the Trinity Continuum line of core books. So we've had Aeon, we've had Aberrant, we've now got Adventure. And Adventure is your journey to the center of the earth, Indiana Jones, punching Nazis, stealing the Holy Grail, that kind of thing. It's fantastic. It is my kind of game. As anyone knows, I can do the sort of radio announcer voice. This just in, heroic heroes making their way to the center of the earth to punch out Johnny Foreigner and steal his gold, all for the glory of the United Kingdom, that sort of thing. Or the Challenger Institute. That would be more behind it, I think, than just the United Kingdom. Although you may be on a mission for the king. That could work. Either way, Adventure is great fun. Two-fisted pulp action, as they say. Ian's just commented, in fact, 1934 pulp action. So it does place it neatly in that period where it is really becoming trendy to start punching Nazis on the nose. And to be honest, that's never gone out of fashion. So do give that a look. I've linked below the Tales of the Aeon Society, which is our audio drama. It's a professionally produced audio drama. All the parts are free. I've linked to the complete Tales of the Aeon Society. It's free, it's short, it's punchy, and it really puts you in the mood for that kind of pulp cinema action. And I'm a big fan of radio dramas all on their own. We've got professional voice actors. It's professionally written. It's so much fun, and it doesn't cost you a thing. So if you want to listen to something when you're on the way to work, if you want to listen to something while you're in the bath, if you want to listen to something while you're working out, you can do a lot worse than this. Doesn't cost you a thing. It's great fun. So what else do we have? Well, this week just gone, as well as releasing that conglomerate episode of Tales of the Aeon Society that ties into our Adventure Kickstarter coming next week, I believe. We have Monsters of the Deep. Speaking of radio announcer voice, you can see they came from beneath the sea behind me, and Monsters of the Deep is the big bestiary for They Came From Beneath the Sea, and it is big. It's got all kinds of horrifying monsters as well as utterly nonsensical creatures in there. You have everything from the usual array of squids, sharks, and crustaceans all the way to pernicious terrestrial threats. So do check out Monsters of the Deep, because not only can the monsters in it be quite easily amended to fit into games also using story paths such as Trinity, Dystopia Rising Evolution, Scion. You can, of course, use it for They Came From Beneath the Sea, They Came From Beyond the Grave, They Came From Camp Murder Lake, They Came From Classified, our upcoming They Came From. There's a lot that you can do with those monsters. And I mentioned They Came From Beneath the Sea has been out for a while now. I wouldn't be me if I didn't mention it. It's been receiving a lot of noise on Twitter recently. It seems every other day someone is tweeting about They Came From Beneath the Sea, and that's wonderful, very gratifying to me. That's a book you can order through DriveThruRPG or through your friendly local game store or through a bookstore, whoever you wish to support, really. But you can get it in print, you can get it in PDF, you can buy these cards as well that have all your quips and cinematics on. And yeah, I am really proud of it, really proud of what the team has done on all of the books I've mentioned, and especially They Came From Beneath the Sea. So do check it out if you haven't already. So this is just going to be a short one, but let's see whether we've got any questions before I depart and make myself something to eat. So Matey Truck says, good evening. Good evening. Matey, and Lady Gamer Clara says, hello Clara. Matey Truck says, can't wait to own Victorian Mage them sexy top hats, and if you want to get all steampunk with it, as a lot of people do seem to be with M20 Victorian Age, you can put your cogs on your top hats as well and wear your goggles, because it wouldn't be steampunk without both of those things. I've never understood the need of a cog on a top hat unless you have some kind of machine inside the top hat, like they'll turn and then a bird will spring out on a spring like a Jack in the Box. That might be interesting. Not sure how magical it is, but you know. Preston Bobo is hyped for Adventure. Good. I'm glad. I think a lot of people are. It's going to be interesting to see how well this game does, because Adventure, while popular in its first iteration, by no means blew the bloody doors off in terms of popularity. And yet, we're hearing a lot more noise about it now. And I think that may speak to things like the changing in tastes of games compared to when it was initially released. And what's more, we get a lot of different media now that is set in idealized versions of the times that this game, They Came From Beneath the Sea, and other games like it are run, like Captain America, or like Agent Carter, or and so on. You know, there is a certain taste right now for emulating vintage media. Anyway, I must go. Goodbye.